Have you ever felt caught in a constant loop, where your actions, whether they're good or bad, just seem to create more of the same? Or maybe found yourself wondering if genuine happiness is even possible amidst all of life's inherent struggles and, well, imperfections.
It's a pretty common feeling, I think.
It really is. So today, we're embarking on a deep dive into a truly thought-provoking collection of insights from a source titled Self-Abnegation.
And it really challenges a lot of conventional wisdom, doesn't it?
It does, especially about action, reaction, and it points towards a surprisingly different path to ultimate freedom and lasting peace.
Exactly. Our sources here offer a really profound perspective on the nature of good and evil, the inevitability of consequences, and how we can actually navigate this world where everything feels so deeply interconnected.
So what's our mission with this deep dive?
Well, our goal is really to distill these sometimes counterintuitive insights into practical understanding, hopefully providing you with some genuine aha moments that might reshape how you view life, maybe even your work.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Where do our sources begin this exploration of action and reaction?
Well, the fundamental concept they kick things off with is this idea of the ripple effect of our minds.
Ripple effect.
Yeah. It proposes that just as every action we take comes back to us, eventually, it also impacts others. And of course, their actions affect us too.
Like a feedback loop.
Precisely. It's presented almost as a universal law. Evil actions tend to breed more evil, and good actions make us stronger, better able to do more good. It's continuous.
I find that idea of mental energy really intriguing. How exactly does that work, according to the source?
It's framed in terms of vibration. The source describes the mind as entering a certain state of vibration whenever it performs an action.
Vibration. Like sound.
Kind of. They use this great analogy. Think of musical instruments all tuned alike. If you strike a string on one guitar,
others might hum.
Exactly. Other instruments tuned to that same note might subtly vibrate, give off the same sound, even if you haven't touched them. So the idea is that minds in similar circumstances or similar states of tension can be affected by each other's thoughts. So when you perform an action, say an evil one, your mind vibrates in a particular way. And the source suggests that all minds in the universe in a similar state have the possibility of being affected.
Wow. And that applies to good actions too.
The exact same principle. This power of mind upon mind, as they call it, depends on the force, the intensity of that mental tension.
So these thought pulsations, they're not just fleeting things. They don't just disappear.
Not at all. The sources emphasize they can travel like waves, like light waves, potentially for hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years? Seriously?
Seriously. Until they find a mind somewhere out there that vibrates in unison. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening. This sounds significant.
It means that when someone does an evil act, they've brought his mind to a certain state of tension. They've basically opened a door.
Opened a door for what?
For corresponding evil waves that are already out there in the atmosphere of consciousness, so to speak. They enter and they can intensify that person's actions.
And the same for good actions. They attract good waves.
That's the idea. The doer of good opens themselves to all the good waves. So there's this twofold danger in doing evil.
Twofold. How so?
First, you make yourself vulnerable to all the negative influences already floating around. And second, you actively create new evil, which then goes out and affects others, maybe generations later.
Right.
It really highlights how interconnected we are. And this interconnectedness, this chain of cause and effect, brings us neatly to a core principle from karma yoga.
Karma yoga, right. What does it say?
It states it very clearly. The action one has done cannot be destroyed until it has borne its fruit. It's presented as an unyielding law.
Cannot be destroyed.
Nope. No power in nature, it says, can stop good actions from bringing good results or evil actions from bringing evil results. The cause must have its effect, period.
That's quite a powerful thought, almost intimidating. But it immediately raises that question the source itself brings up.
Yeah.
How can we possibly draw a clean line? How can we say this action is purely good and that one is purely evil?
Right. It feels impossible when you really stop and think about it.
So what's the answer?
Well, the source's answer is pretty radical. It basically says you can't draw that line. It states, there is no action which does not bear good and evil fruits at the same time.
Every single action.
Every single one. They give a very direct example.
Oh.
Even this act of me speaking to you right now, which we'd probably call good, right?
Yeah.
Generally.
Well, the source points out I am simultaneously killing thousands of microbes in the atmosphere, which from the microbe's perspective, maybe not so good.
I never thought of it like that.
And it boils down to perspective and proximity. The microbes you do not see, but yourselves you do see. So our judgment of good or evil is often based on what's immediately apparent to us.
That's quite profound. It implies that, we cannot breathe or live without injuring others. Every bit of the food we eat is taken away from another's mouth. Our very lives are crowding out other lives.
It's a sobering realization, isn't it? Our existence itself has an impact, often negative, even if we don't intend it.
So if we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
what does it mean for achieving perfection?
It leads to a pretty stark conclusion. If all actions contain both good and evil, then perfection can never be attained by work, in the way we usually think of it, just trying to do more good deeds.
So you can't just work your way to perfection.
Apparently not. The source says we could work through all eternity, but that inevitable association of good and evil and the results of work would always be there. It's always a mix.
Which really challenges that common belief, doesn't it? That idea that someday, somehow, the world will become perfect. No disease, no death, no unhappiness.
It directly counters that, yes. The source is blunt. This cannot be, because good and evil are the obverse and reverse of the same coin. They need each other to exist.
Like two sides of a coin.
Exactly. It even says a perfect life is a contradiction in terms. Life is described as this continuous struggle between ourselves and everything outside.
And if the struggle stops?
Then the source says there will be an end of life itself. So external perfection isn't just unlikely, it's fundamentally impossible according to this view.
So what does this all mean then? If we can't perfect the world outside, where do we possibly find happiness or peace?
Well, this is where the teaching makes a crucial pivot. It turns inward.
Inward.
Yes. The source argues the main effective work done for others is to purify ourselves. True happiness, it suggests, consists in killing selfishness.
Killing selfishness. That sounds harsh.
Maybe the wording is strong, but it's about a profound forgetfulness of self. That's described as the one great lesson we have to learn in life.
How does that work in practice?
Every act of charity, every sympathetic thought, every helpful action, every good deed, each one is taking so much of self-importance away from our little selves. It's like chipping away at the ego. And this journey, this process, leads towards what the source calls the highest ideal.
Which is?
Eternal and entire self-abnegation, a state where there is no I, but all is thou.
No I, all thou.
Yeah, this complete unselfishness, this letting go of the separate self is presented as the basis of all morality. It's about moving beyond me and mine.
The source also talks about different types of people based on this idea of self, right? It categorizes human tendencies.
It does, yeah. It's a pretty interesting, if stark, classification. There are the God-men at the top, those who embody complete self-abnegation, doing good even if it costs them their lives.
Okay.
Then you have the good men. They do good, sure, but only as long as it doesn't really harm them.
Right, a bit more conditional.
Then there's a third class, those who actually injure others for their own gain. And then, chillingly, a fourth unnameable class who, well, they injure others merely for injury's sake, just because they can.
Wow. Okay. And there are terms for these underlying tendencies.
Yes. Two key Sanskrit terms. The first is pravriti. It means revolving towards.
Revolving towards?
Towards what? Towards the world. Towards the self. Think of it as the I and mine impulse. The grasping nature, as the text calls it. Accumulating things, wealth, power, fame, all center around myself. This is described as evil work.
Evil, not necessarily as morally wicked, but self-centered.
Exactly. It's about that inward focus, that gathering to the self. The second term is nivriti. It means revolving away.
Away from the self.
Precisely. This is where that grasping tendency starts to break down. This is where morality and religion truly begin, according to the source. It's marked by a readiness to sacrifice mind and body and everything for another being. This is good work.
So pravriti is gathering, nivriti is releasing or giving.
That's a great way to put it. Pravriti builds the ego empire. Nivriti starts to dismantle it through realizing our connection to others.
And this nivriti, this moving away from self, is the fundamental basis of all morality and all religion, and its highest point is entire self-abnegation. That's a huge claim.
It is, and here's where it gets really unifying. The Source says that someone who reaches this state of self-abnegation just through the simple power of good actions, basically, being constantly ready to sacrifice for others.
Yeah.
They arrive at the exact same point as someone who gets there through deep prayer and devotion, or someone who gets there through profound philosophical understanding and wisdom.
The work, devotion, wisdom, they all lead to the same place.
They all converge, yes. Karma yoga, work, bhakti yoga, devotion, jnana yoga, wisdom, they all meet at this single point. Self-abnegation. The Source even states, quite powerfully, unselfishness is God.
Okay, so if every action is mixed, good and evil, and perfection isn't about external results, but internal unselfishness, how should we work? I mean, you mentioned extreme views like the Jains wanting to avoid action altogether.
Right, that's one logical but perhaps impractical conclusion. But the Source, particularly drawing from the Bhagavad Gita, offers a different path. The theory of non-attachment.
Non-attachment. We hear that term a lot. What does it mean here?
The teaching isn't to run away from the world. It's do not give up the world, live in the world, imbibe its influences as much as you can, but, and this is the key, if it be for your own enjoyment's sake, work not at all.
Work not at all if it's for your own enjoyment. Why is that?
Because of the consequences, the karma, the Gita explains. Any action that you do for yourself will bring its effect to bear upon you. Good or bad, it sticks to you.
Okay.
But see, any action that is not done for your own sake, whatever it be, will have no effect on you.
No effect. Even if the action itself seems, well, massive.
Exactly. The Source quotes a really strong passage to illustrate this. Even if he kill the whole universe, or be himself killed, he is neither the killer nor the killed when he knows that he's not acting for himself at all.
Wow. That's intense. It's not saying go kill people, obviously.
Absolutely not. It's an extreme illustration of the principle. If your motive is completely detached from personal gain or loss, the action doesn't bind you karmically. The attachment to the outcome is what creates the bond.
That really reframes how we see our place in the world. It challenges that idea that the world is created for our enjoyment, calling it the most wicked idea that holds us down.
Yeah, instead it proposes just as much as the world is for us, so we also are for the world. It's a reciprocal relationship, not just a resource for us to consume.
So how do we cultivate this non-attachment for doing proper work? Are there practical steps?
The Source outlines a couple of key things. First, consciously give up the idea of attachment. Make that your intention.
Okay, easier said than done, maybe, but okay.
And second, do not mix in the fray, hold yourself as a witness, and go on working.
Be a witness. Like watching yourself act.
Sort of. The analogy used is really helpful here. Think of a professional nurse caring for a child.
Okay.
She loves the child, cares for it diligently, tends to its every need, just as if it were her own flesh and blood.
Right.
But when her job is done, when notice is given, she packs her bags and leaves without the least pang, without that deep, personal, ownership-based attachment.
So we should be like that nurse towards everything. Our jobs, our family, our possessions.
Towards all that we consider our own, yes, that's the ideal. It also means we have to let go of that weakness, as the Source calls it, of thinking others depend entirely on us or that we are the great do-gooders.
Why is that a weakness?
Because ultimately, the Source suggests nature helps everyone. Our helping others is actually a blessed privilege. For us, it's a way to educate ourselves to practice this detachment and unselfishness.
So the world doesn't actually need my help. That sounds a bit harsh.
It sounds harsh, but the point is to check our ego. Thinking the world requires our specific help is often just pride. It is selfishness insinuating itself in the form of virtue.
Ah, okay. Selfishness disguised as virtue. I can see that.
And the practical benefit, when you give something time, money, help, and expect nothing back, not even gratitude, well, if the person is ungrateful, it will not tell upon you, it won't hurt you.
Because you weren't attached to getting that thanks.
Exactly. Your karma, your role, was simply to be the carrier of that gift or action. What happens next isn't tied to your ego, it boils down to this. It is only selfishness that causes the difference between good and evil in terms of how things affect us.
And the ultimate takeaway from this section.
Nothing in the universe has power over you until you allow it to exercise such a power. It's about reclaiming our inner agency through non-attachment.
Okay, so non-attachment is the key. But how do you actually know if you've achieved it? I mean, really achieved it? What's the sign of a mind that's truly free?
That's a great question. And the Source gives us a fantastic story, kind of ultimate test case. It's the story of Shuka.
Shuka.
Who was he again? He was said to be the perfect son of the great sage Vyasa, and his father sent him to learn from King Janaka Vidya.
King Janaka. But wasn't he known as the king without a body?
That's him. Because he was so detached, he had essentially forgotten he was a body. He lived as if he were pure spirit, even while ruling a kingdom. A perfect teacher for non-attachment.
So Shuka goes to the palace. What happens?
Well, first he gets tested with indifference. He arrives, and the guards basically ignore him. They took no notice of him whatsoever, just gave him a seat.
And he just sat there.
For 3 days and nights, nobody speaking to him. But the text emphasizes his solemnly serene face did not change even to the smallest extent. No frustration, no impatience.
Wow. 3 days. Okay, then what?
Then, total opposite, he was suddenly received with the greatest honors. Given splendid rooms, most fragrant baths, and wonderful dresses. He was kept in all kinds of luxury for 8 days.
And his reaction?
Still, his face did not change. He was the same. Unmoved by the luxury. Just as he was unmoved by the neglect.
Okay, indifference then luxury. Any other tests?
One more, the most famous one, perhaps. The king gave him a cup full to the brim with milk.
Brimful, okay.
And asked him to walk 7 times around the main hall without spilling a single drop. And the hall wasn't empty. There was music, dancing, and other amusements happening all around him.
Distractions everywhere. Did he do it?
Perfectly. Not a drop spilled. Why? Because his mind could not be attracted by anything in the world unless he allowed it to affect him. He had that control, that detachment.
So that's the sign of true non-attachment. Good or ill fortune causes no change in his mind. In all conditions, he continues to remain the same. That level of inner stability?
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
It's presented as the ultimate freedom. His mind has become free. Such a man alone is fit to live well in the world. Not run away from it, but engage with it from a place of mastery. And this mastery changes how you see the world itself. You know, the source mentions the 2 common views. The pessimist saying how horrible this world is, and the optimist how beautiful.
Right. Most of us fluctuate, maybe.
Well, the source suggests that for those who haven't controlled their minds, the world genuinely is full of evil, or at best a mixture of good and evil, because that's what their minds are attuned to, what affects them.
But here's the transformative promise, right?
Exactly. This very world will become to us an optimistic world when we become masters of our own minds, when we change internally. Nothing will then work upon us as good or evil. We shall find everything to be in its proper place, to be harmonious. It's not that the world changes its nature, but our perception of it transforms entirely. Through that deep self-abnegation we talked about, the source claims the whole world, which at first appears to us to be filled with evil, will appear to be heaven itself and full of blessedness.
Heaven itself.
Its very atmosphere will be blessed. Every human face there will be God. It's a radical shift from seeing threats and annoyances to seeing, well, divinity everywhere, because your own inner state is clear.
And what's really striking is how universal this path is presented. We mentioned karma, jnana, bhakti, yoga.
Yes, the source is very clear. They do not conflict with each other. Each of them leads us to the same goal and makes us perfect. There isn't just one right way.
So how do you actually practice this day to day? What's the secret?
The source gives a simple 3-step process. First, you have to hear, then think, and then practice.
Hear, think, practice.
Yeah. Hear the teachings, maybe from an external teacher or a text, but that external teacher offers only the suggestion. Their role is just to nudge the internal teacher awake.
The internal teacher.
The understanding has to come from within you. When it does, when you truly grasp it through thinking and then trying it out, practicing it, that's when it generates tremendous force for work and leads towards that perfect self-abnegation and utter unselfishness.
It has to become your own lived experience, not just an idea.
Precisely. It's an internal realization, not just book learning.
And the ultimate point, the one that cuts through everything else.
It's incredibly liberating. This attainment, this perfection, does not depend on any dogma or doctrine or belief.
Doesn't matter what you believe.
Not fundamentally. The core question is simply, are you unselfish?
That's it.
That's the acid test. If you are truly unselfish, the source says you will be perfect without reading a single religious book, without going into a single church or temple. As it concludes, fools alone say that work and philosophy are different, not the learned. They all point to the same unselfish core.
So this deep dive into self-abnegation, it really shows that true happiness, true freedom, it isn't about escaping the world or somehow making the world perfect outside of us.
No, not at all.
It's about transforming our inner state, right? Through this radical self-abnegation and non-attachment. Changing our relationship to our actions, not trying to stop acting.
Exactly, which naturally raises a really important question to think about.
Hold on.
Well, if unselfishness is God, like the Source says, and anyone can find this state anywhere, doesn't matter if you're on a throne like Janaka or living in a hut, then how might truly embracing this idea, the idea that the world doesn't actually depend on us, on our specific actions, how might that free us up?
Free us up how?
To engage more fully, maybe even more joyfully, with everything life throws at us, but without that heavy burden of self-importance or expectation or the need for a specific outcome.
That's definitely something profound to ponder. How might that shift, from doing for self to doing as a witness really change your everyday experience? Your work, your life, everything.